Hi everyone,
that
and
lives
welcome to the
quietly in the
sleepy
minds of
scientist.
children and
I'm
scientists
really happy you're
alike.
here.
A
Tonight,
question that sits
we're going
like
to go
a
on a
feather
calm
the
and
breath
quiet
of the
trip to
universe.
learn something amazing.
Soft and weightless,
So get comfy, take a deep
impossibly
breath,
vast.
and let's enjoy this peaceful
Does
science
space
story
end?
together.
Imagine
Before we
a
start,
walk,
tell me in the comments,
a very long walk.
where are you watching from?
You walk
and what time
past
is it for you
hills
right
and
now?
rivers,
If you like
past
relaxing
cities
science
and
videos,
mountains, past
don't forget to tap the
clouds
like
and
button.
moons and
Now let's begin.
planets.
You walk through dust and light, stars and silence, galaxies spinning like slow dancers in a ballroom older than time. You keep walking, but where would your steps stop? The universe, it seems, does not have a fence. There is no edge like a cliff where space crumbles into nothing. There is no final wall with a sign that says, "Here ends everything." At least none that we've ever found. And yet we ask the question still, because it feels like things must end. We're used to containers, cups end, roads end, even life ends. But space is strange. The way scientists think about the size of the universe is not the way we think about the size of a room. It is not a block of air with stars inside. Instead, it is more like the surface of a bubble that keeps stretching, growing outward in every direction. A place where the inside and outside lose meaning. Now imagine blowing up a balloon. You draw little dots on it with a soft marker. These dots are galaxies. As you blow air into the balloon, the surface stretches and the dots drift apart. But none of them are moving across the balloon. The balloon itself is growing. That's how the universe expands. Not into something, but just expanding everywhere. And here's the gentle strangeness. In that balloon, there is no edge. The surface just wraps around itself endlessly. You could walk across it forever and never find a stop. That's what some scientists believe about space. That it curves back into itself in ways we cannot see, like the skin of a sphere too big to understand, but not all agree. Some wonder if space could be flat, not curved like a balloon or a saddle, but endless like a never-ending sheet of paper. If that's true, then space could go on forever in all directions, like a dream without borders, like silence without end. Infinity, a word so soft and so wide it feels almost like sleep. But even in infinity there are puzzles, because the universe had a beginning, a moment, long ago, when everything was packed into something smaller than a whisper, a place where time and space were curled so tightly they could barely breathe. That was the Big Bang. Not an explosion in space, but the creation of space itself, the stretching of nothing into everything. So what lies beyond that stretch? We do not know. And perhaps we will never know, because we are inside the universe made of its light and dust and time. We are like fish, asking what water looks like from above the surface. We are shaped by space. We cannot easily step outside it. We search. With gentle tools and curious minds, we send satellites and light signals into the dark. We listen for echoes in the fabric of everything. We look for the smallest bends in starlight, because even if we cannot touch the edge, we might hear its whispers. Some think there are many universes, that ours is just one bubble among countless others, floating in a sea of something greater, a multiverse, vast beyond imagining. But these ideas are soft shadows, not yet solid. We can dream them, but we cannot prove them. Others say the edge of the universe is not a place but a time, that when we look far enough away, we are looking back in time so far the galaxies have not yet formed, that we can only see the places where light has had enough time to reach us. Beyond that, there may be more, or maybe nothing at all. And yet the edge does not frighten us, because the more we learn about the shape of space, the more it feels like a poem written in the dark. A poem that grows as we read it. A poem with no last line. Now imagine standing still in that dark. All around you the stars hum quietly. Some are near, some are so far away, their light left before Earth was born. You're wrapped in silence but also in wonder. You cannot see an edge, but you can feel the vastness. It presses gently against your thoughts. It fills you with the ache of questions, and slowly, quietly it reminds you. Not all mysteries are meant to be solved. Some are meant to be lived. So let your mind drift now, past the stars and the empty spaces between them. past what we know and what we wonder, past the maps we draw and the edges we imagine. Let it float in a universe that may never end. Let's drift deeper now, into the quiet folds of space, into the strange softness where gravity shapes the path of everything, and time curves like a ribbon caught in wind. For in this universe without walls, there is still form, there is still pattern, rhythm, and hidden design. Even when there is no edge to touch, there is a texture to the cosmos. And it is this texture, this invisible weave, that calls scientists and dreamers alike to wonder. You see, space is not truly empty. It hums with hidden things. Tiny particles blink in and out of existence. Fields stretch across the darkness like silk stretched tight. And wrapped into it all is gravity, not just a force that makes apples fall or planets orbit, but a bending of space itself. Where there is mass, space curves. Time curves too, so when you lie beneath the stars, you're not just looking up, you're looking through valleys and dips in the very fabric of reality, carved gently by suns and moons and unseen matter. Einstein once imagined this, not with telescopes or rockets, but with thought. He pictured space and time not as two things, but one, space-time, tangled together like threads in a single tapestry. And in that tapestry, mass pulls on the threads. A planet makes a soft well, a star a deeper well, a black hole, something stranger still. Now imagine setting a marble on a stretched sheet. Place your hand beneath it. Feel the weight press down. The sheet dips, curves, forms a slope. Any smaller marble nearby would roll toward it, not because they are pulled by a string, but because the surface itself has changed. This is how gravity works in Einstein's world, not as a tug, but as a dance on a curved floor. And if space curve, then it may not be infinite in the way we think. Some scientists believe that the universe is closed, like the surface of a vast four-dimensional sphere. In this model, if you travelled far enough in one direction, you would eventually return to your starting point. Not because you turned around, but because space itself curved around you. This is hard to picture, because our minds are made for land and lines, not loops without edges. But in mathematics, the shapes work, and in the quiet cosmic data gathered by satellites and telescopes, we search for signs of such curvature. Others believe the universe is open, not curved back into itself, but spread wide like a saddle, stretching outward forever. And still others argue it is flat, not truly flat like paper, but balanced in a way that makes space expand without curling or folding. These questions are not just philosophical, they shape how we understand the future of everything. A closed universe might one day stop expanding, falling gently back inward like breath returning to the lungs. An open universe might expand forever, growing colder, quieter, until even the stars fade. A flat universe, balanced perfectly, could drift endlessly on the edge of motion and stillness. But how do we know what shape we live in? We listen to the echo of the beginning. Long ago, when the universe was new, it glowed with light, not from stars, but from pure energy, thick and hot like a golden mist. As the universe expanded and cooled, this light stretched, thinned, softened into something we now call the Planck's cosmic microwave background, a whisper left by the Big Bang. We have measured it, mapped it, we've seen its soft freckles across the sky, and from its patterns, we learn about the shape of space. So far, what we see suggests flatness, a universe stretched wide in every direction without fold or curve. But the measurements are delicate. A tilt too small to notice now might reveal itself over billions of years. The sky, it seems, holds its secret softly. And beyond all this lies dark matter, and darker still, dark energy. Dark matter does not glow, does not shine or shimmer, but it has gravity. We know it's there because galaxies spin faster than they should. The stars at the edges move as if held in place by invisible arms. Without dark matter, galaxies would fall apart. So we believe it fills the cosmos like scaffolding, unseen, but shaping everything. Dark energy is stranger still. While gravity pulls things together, dark energy pushes things apart. It stretches space itself, gently but steadily, like breath filling an invisible lung. This energy may be the reason the universe's expansion is speeding up, and if that's true, then the edge, if it exists, is racing away from us faster than light. We could never catch it. We could never see it. Some scientists call this the cosmic horizon, the limit of what we can observe. Not because it's the end of space, but because it's the end of light's story reaching us. Beyond that, more space may lie, more galaxies, more stars, more silence, but their light has not yet arrived, and perhaps never will. And yet even this invisible edge is not fixed. As the universe grows, so does the horizon. What lies beyond today may be visible tomorrow, or 1 billion years from now. The cosmos keeps unfolding like a dream that writes itself as you read it. So where are we in all this? Our tiny planet orbits an ordinary star nestled in a quiet arm of the Milky Way, one galaxy among trillions. We are not at the centre. There is no centre. Every point in space is expanding away from every other. From our view, it seems we are surrounded by moving galaxies. But if you stood somewhere else, in some distant cluster, you would see the same. Space does not expand into anything. It expands within itself. This is difficult to hold in the hand of thought, but in the cradle of wonder, it begins to make sense, not in diagrams or numbers, but in feelings. Because what we are learning is this: space is not an emptiness. It is a field of potential, a canvas where stars are born and die, a medium in which galaxies drift, where gravity whispers and light travels for billions of years to find us. And still, no edge, no border, no end, just a quiet unfolding, just the drift of time, the pull of mass, and the long, slow breath of the expanding universe. It makes you feel small, but not lost, because being small in a space like this is not a weakness. It is an invitation to ask, to wonder, to listen. And so we send out signals, we launch mirrors into the dark, we build instruments so fine they can detect the bend of space smaller than a strand of hair. We dream, we build, we reach. Not because we think we'll find a wall, but because even if space never ends, the journey across it teaches us what it means to be alive. Perhaps, in the end, the edge we're looking for is not a place out there, but a feeling in here. The boundary between what we understand and what we are still learning to feel. Let your breath slow now, and let your thoughts float with it, far out, past stars, past spirals of stardust and velvet blackness. You've drifted far from Earth into the wide unfolding. And even though there is no edge to see, there is still more to feel. The question lingers softly as a lullaby, not just where space ends, but how far our story within it can go. We've looked at the vastness, the shape, the hush between galaxies. But now, let us sit beside time. Let us lean into the rhythm of it. For space and time are not two things. They are lovers, bound together, each shaping the other in silence. And in this gentle bond, the universe becomes not a place, but an event, a happening, a breath that began once and still goes on. When the universe was young, it was filled with light too bright to see. The smallest moments passed in currents of pure energy. But over time, things cooled, things slowed, atoms formed and then stars, and then the slow curling arms of galaxies. And now, here we are. Not at the beginning, not at the end, but in a chapter written deep in the middle. From where we sit in this moment, the universe is 13.8 billion years old. That number is large, too large to hold in the palm of the mind. But more curious still is this: the part of space we can observe is even older. We can see light that has travelled for billions of years from places now more than 45 billion light years away. How is that possible? Because space has stretched while the light was travelling. Like ink spreading in water, the distance grew as the wave of brightness moved. The light is old, but Space it crossed grew wider and wider as it came. So what we see is not the universe as it is now, but as it was, and the edge of our sight is also the edge of time. Some people call that edge the observable universe, the part of everything we can measure, feel, record. Beyond that, there may be more, or there may be nothing. The light from those distant places hasn't reached us yet. It may never reach us. This edge is not a wall. It is not a place we can point to. It is the horizon of knowing, the soft blur where knowledge fades into wonder. And just as space may be infinite, time may be endless too. But not all things inside time are meant to last. Stars burn their fuel and dim, galaxies age, even the atoms that make up our bones may one day dissolve into simpler pieces. Everything moves toward quiet. Scientists call this quietness the heat death of the universe. A time so far away we cannot picture it. A time when all usable energy has been spent, when stars no longer form, when the last black holes evaporate into whispers of radiation. It is not a loud ending, it is a soft fading, like a candle that runs out of wick, not from wind but from time. But this is not something to fear. It is only one possible ending, and even if it comes, it will be trillions upon trillions of years away, long after every tree has turned to dust, long after every word has been spoken, long after every light has dimmed, and still we will have been part of it. For a brief moment we, the stardust that learned to wonder, were here. We looked up, we listened, we asked, does space end? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the question is not about distance but about understanding. Maybe space goes on forever, not just in length, but in layers. We once thought our Milky Way was the whole universe. Then we learned of other galaxies. Then we learned there were clusters of galaxies, threads of matter wrapped in cosmic webs. Then dark matter. Then dark energy. Then the possibility of other dimensions, folded beside us like pages in a book we cannot yet open. And now some wonder, could there be more than one universe? Not just more space, but different physics, different rules, other realities blooming in silence beyond ours, like flowers growing in a garden we cannot see. This is the idea of the multiverse, a word that sounds like science fiction, but which some scientists take seriously. These are not answers, they are doors, and we stand quietly before them, wondering if they might open. But even if we never find the edge or the truth beyond it, we are still explorers, not of maps, but of meaning. Think of the Voyager spacecraft, launched in the 1970s. Tiny machines, each no larger than a car, now drifting beyond the edge of our solar system. They still hum softly, sending back data. One of them carries a golden record, a message for anyone who might one day find it. It includes sounds of Earth, greetings in many languages, music, and a heartbeat. A whisper from our world. These machines will outlive us. They will drift through space for billions of years, long after the last light on Earth fades. They will never find the edge, but they will carry the evidence that we were curious, that we looked outward with open hearts, and perhaps that is the truest story of space, not that it ends, but that we begin within it. We are made of the same atoms as stars. We breathe oxygen that came from ancient suns. The calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood, born in stellar furnaces, scattered by explosions, gathered into our bodies by time and chance. You, sitting here, listening to this, you are part of space. You are not outside it. You are not even inside it. You are it. So even if space stretches forever, you are never far from its centre. You carry it in your lungs, in your dreams, in your wondering. There may be no edge, but there is always a place to begin, always a place to rest your thoughts, like a stone placed gently in a river. And now perhaps it is time to rest your thoughts. Let them drift through everything we have felt together. The curve of space-time, the soft echo of ancient light, the growing quiet of endless distance. Let them settle on the truth that is not an answer, but a lullaby. The universe may never end, but it sings softly to those who listen. And in that song, we find not a border, but a belonging. Imagine for a moment that you are standing still and yet everything around you is moving. Not in the way that rivers move or winds shift, but in a way that feels impossible. Like the air itself is bending and folding, like time is stretching and curving through invisible loops. It is a curious thing, this experience of time, because it is something we feel without ever really seeing it. Now, let's soften the edges of this moment. Let's drift from the busy pulse of clocks and calendars, and instead, let ourselves float gently in a space where time is not a line, but a fold. This is the universe that Einstein imagined when he first spoke of space-time. A world where time and space are not separate, but bound together like the paper of a book, where the pages turn and the ink flows across them in patterns we are only beginning to understand. In the vast, silent dance of the cosmos, time stretches and bends, flows and folds like the soft creases of a piece of paper. Where once we thought of time as something that ticks forward from one moment to the next, Einstein's theory of relativity taught us that time is much more flexible. It can stretch, it can compress, and it can even loop back on itself. Not just in theory, but in the way light and gravity bend it around massive objects. Take, for example, the simple experience of gravity. Gravity. That force we all feel when we drop a stone and watch it fall. It pulls us toward the Earth, but it also has another secret. It bends the fabric of space-time itself. The Earth, with its mass, creates a deep well in the smooth fabric of the universe, and anything that comes too close to that well, like the moon or a passing asteroid, is pulled inward, as though the very fabric of space is inviting them to dance with it. It is the bending of space-time that makes gravity so strange. The moon doesn't just fall toward the Earth, it moves along a curved path, travelling around our planet as if caught in the gentle grip of an invisible hand. And the same is true for light. Light, which travels at the fastest speed we know, is also affected by gravity. When it passes near a star, it bends. It doesn't travel straight. It follows the curve of space-time. This effect, known as gravitational lensing, allows us to see distant galaxies and stars that would otherwise be hidden from our view. Their light distorted and redirected like ripples in a pond. But what happens when space-time folds even more dramatically? What happens when the bends become so deep that they form loops in time itself? This too is something that Einstein imagined, and, though it may sound like something out of a science fiction story, there are places in the universe where such folds are not just possible but real. Take black holes, for example. These mysterious objects are the densest, most massive things in the universe. So heavy, in fact, that they warp space-time so much that not even light can escape their grasp. The gravity near a black hole is so strong it stretches and bends the fabric of space-time like a piece of paper being pulled toward a central point. If you could travel close enough to a black hole, time itself would begin to slow down for you, as if the clock were winding itself tighter and tighter, the moments stretching out longer. To someone standing far away, you would seem to freeze in place, your movement slowing with every passing second until, at the event horizon, the point beyond which not even light can escape, time would appear to stop altogether. In these regions, time itself becomes a river, flowing differently depending on where you are. To an observer far away, it might seem that the universe near a black hole is frozen in time, suspended in a single moment. But to someone falling towards the black hole, the flow of time is vastly different. Time speeds up for them, racing toward an unknown fate as they approach the singularity at the centre. These effects are not just strange, they are the natural consequences of space-time's gentle, infinite malleability. But what happens when you fold time in on itself? What happens when you bend it so much that it loops back on itself, creating a closed circle? This is the idea behind time loops. The thought that in certain conditions it might be possible to travel backward in time, to revisit moments that have already passed, or perhaps even change them. The concept of time loops is one of the most tantalizing possibilities within the theory of relativity, and it invites us to imagine a universe where the past, present, and future are not separate but interwoven like threads in a tapestry. This idea too comes from the fabric of space-time. In the same way that a piece of paper can be folded so that distant points on the page meet, so too could time itself be folded so that the past and future touch. This is the essence of what scientists call a closed time-like curve, a pathway through space-time that loops back on itself, allowing for the possibility of time travel. While no one has yet proven that such loops exist, and while they may be more theoretical than practical, the very idea stretches our understanding of time from something rigid to something fluid and dynamic. But as we fold time and bend space, there is one more thing to consider. The arrow of time. Time moves in one direction. It always seems to move forward. We experience life as a journey, a path from one moment to the next. But why? Why does time seem to move forward and not backward? This is the question that has puzzled philosophers and physicists for centuries. It is the question of why time seems to have a flow, a direction, a sense of order. The answer may lie in the way we understand entropy, the natural tendency for systems to move from order to disorder. In a closed system, like the universe, the total amount of disorder, or entropy, always increases. This increase in entropy is what gives time its arrow, its sense of moving forward. In a sense, the passage of time is not just the ticking of a clock, but the slow unravelling of the universe, the gentle unfolding of order into chaos. As the universe grows older, it becomes more disordered, more spread out, and in that process, time moves forward. And so, time continues to fold and bend, to stretch and curve, like paper gently creased under the weight of the cosmos. We live within it, guided by its rhythms, but never fully able to see its end. And maybe that is just as it should be. That time should remain as mysterious as it is, like the wind or the stars, a force we can feel but never quite grasp. And in this moment, let your mind drift with time. Imagine it folding and unfolding like the soft turning of pages in a book, each page a different moment in the great story of the universe. And though we may never fully understand how time bends, or whether it can loop back on itself, we can at least take comfort in the fact that we are part of its unfolding. Our story, like the universe itself, is a series of moments that are constantly being written. And in each of those moments, time bends, folds, and stretches, quietly, gently, like paper in the hands of a creator. Let us now dive deeper into the folds of time, into the soft and gentle rhythm where past, present, and future blend like colours on a canvas. Time is not just a path we walk, it is the breath of the universe, exhaling, expanding, bending, and moving in ways we are only beginning to understand. Time is not just the ticking of a clock, it is the dance of galaxies, the stretching of light, the slow, patient unfolding of the cosmos itself. And yet it feels so personal, doesn't it? The passing of moments feels as though it holds our lives in its hands, shaping our journeys and whispering in our ears, reminding us that everything is in motion, even when we feel still. In some ways, we have always known that time is not a simple thing. We measure it in hours and days, but these measurements are just conveniences, not the essence of what time truly is. We observe the stars' movements and the turning of the seasons, but even these are just reflections of deeper truths, hidden within the folds of space-time. In a sense, time is a mirror, reflecting the universe back to us. Yet it is not fixed. It does not stand still, like a mirror in a room. It too moves. It bends. One of the most curious aspects of time is how it changes when you approach the great curves in space-time, those mysterious deep wells of gravity, where the fabric of the universe is stretched and warped. We've already touched on how black holes pull time toward them, like a gentle hand pulling you towards sleep. The closer you get, the slower time seems to pass, until, at the very edge of the black hole, time appears to stop completely. Imagine that for a moment. You could stand on the edge of a black hole, watching the universe around you continue as usual, but for you, the moments would seem to stretch out endlessly. The light from distant stars would appear frozen in place, their colours stretched and warped by the bending of time itself. But this slowing of time near a black hole is not the only strange way time behaves. The same effect can be seen on Earth, although in a much smaller and subtler way. For example, time passes ever so slightly differently at the top of a tall mountain than it does at sea level. It is so small, so imperceptible that we can't feel it, but it is there. This is due to the slight differences in gravity at different altitudes. The higher you go, the weaker gravity becomes and the faster time passes. In fact, the clocks on satellites in orbit around Earth run just a little bit faster than those on the ground. This effect, though tiny, is measurable and has been confirmed by thousands of experiments. Now, imagine that difference amplified, stretched across the vast distances of space. Time behaves very differently on distant planets, around different stars, in different galaxies. Even the direction in which time moves can shift depending on where you are in the universe. This is the heart of relativity. Time does not move at the same pace for everyone, everywhere. It bends and stretches with the gravity of the object it is closest to, like a sheet of fabric rippling under the weight of an unseen hand. There is something strangely beautiful in this idea, isn't there? Time, the very force that binds our lives together, is not a constant. It is a wave, rippling outward, touching everything, shaping everything, but never in the same way. It moves with us, against us, and sometimes it dances with the stars themselves. But even as it moves differently for different people in different places, there is a connection, a thread that runs through it all, tying the distant moments together, keeping them in balance. Yet we often think of time in terms of a beginning and an end, as though the universe itself is a story with a clear start and finish. But what if time is not linear? What if it does not unfold like a book, one page after the next with a clear beginning and a definite end? What if time is something more circular, more intertwined, like a ribbon coiling back upon itself, never truly ending but always flowing? This is a question that has fascinated philosophers and scientists for centuries. It is the idea of eternal recurrence, of cycles within cycles, of time folding in on itself. If time is not a straight path but a loop, then could there be moments that repeat? Could there be lives that echo through time, returning in infinite variations, like waves on the shore, always coming back again? These are the questions that spark the imagination, that make us wonder what might be beyond the horizon of what we understand. But what of the future? Is the future written already, folded into the fabric of space-time, just waiting for us to unfold it? Or is the future open, waiting for us to fill it with our choices, our actions, our thoughts? This is another of time's mysteries. Whether the future is something that happens to us, or whether we too are co-creators of the timeline that stretches out before us. In a sense, it is both. The future is shaped by the present, by the choices we make now, but it is also a product of the universe's unfolding, the slow movement of planets and stars, of light and gravity, of the constant ebb and flow of space-time. It is a dance, and we are both participants and spectators, moving within it, guided by it, yet unable to step outside of it. Even as we speak of time, we cannot help but feel its pull. It is the quiet heartbeat of existence ticking softly in the background of everything we do, everything we see. It is a river that flows through our lives, sometimes rushing, sometimes trickling, but always moving forward, shaping the landscape of our experience. And yet, in the quietest moments, when we are still and present, we can almost feel the pulse of time stretching backward and forward as though it were all one vast moment, folded together, waiting to be understood. Time, in this sense, is not something we control, it is something we live within. It is the lens through which we experience the universe, shaping our understanding of cause and effect, of movement and stillness, of past and future. We cannot step outside of time, but we can learn to move with it, to feel its currents, to let it carry us gently through the vast expanse of space and the endless folds of its own story. And perhaps, in the end, the beauty of time lies not in its answers, but in its questions. The way it bends, the way it stretches, the way it opens up new possibilities with every moment. In its quiet movement, time teaches us to be patient, to watch, to listen, to know that the universe is unfolding around us slowly, gently, like the turning of a page, and that we too are a part of that turning. Our lives a small but beautiful chapter in the endless story of existence. And now we reach the quiet closing of our journey, where time begins to slow, like a leaf floating gently to the ground. We've stretched through the bends, felt the folds of time, and now we return to ourselves, to the soft space where the present is always waiting. Time is not just something we measure, it is the very breath of our being. And to understand it is to understand the pulse of existence itself. Think back to the first moments of our journey, when time seemed so straightforward. The ticking of clocks, the turning of seasons, the gentle march of days. In those moments it felt as though time was something solid, something we could hold in our hands. But now we know better, don't we? Time is not a thing, not an object. It is the movement of the universe itself, folding, stretching, bending. It is the song of the cosmos, a melody we hear without fully understanding the notes. This realization can be both humbling and freeing. To understand that time is not a simple ruler, measuring out the distance between moments, but a fluid, ever-changing force, opens the door to wonder. For if time is flexible, then so too is our experience of it. The moments we live are not rigid, not fixed in stone. They are part of the great flow, moving with the universe, bending and stretching with the rhythm of space-time. Every breath we take, every thought we think, ripples through the fabric of the universe, shaping time as much as time shapes us. And yet, as we live in this ever-changing flow, we are also bound by it. Time, for all its flexibility, has a direction. It moves forward and there is no way to turn back. This is the arrow of time, the sense that each moment is always slipping away, flowing into the future, leaving the past behind. And though we cannot reverse time, we can still move through it with grace, with awareness, with the quiet understanding that each moment is both a gift and a lesson. We cannot escape time, we cannot step outside of it, but we can choose how we experience it. We can learn to see the folds and bends, to feel the texture of space-time as we move through it. Just as a river carries us forward, we can learn to flow with it, to let the current of time carry us where it will, with curiosity and patience, knowing that the journey is just as important as the destination. There is a strange beauty in this, in the way time can be both unyielding and yet soft, both certain and mysterious, in the way it bends around gravity, curls around black holes, stretches through the stars, and yet still moves forward, ever onward. In the way it touches everything, so the stars, the planets, the mountains, the oceans, and in the way it touches us, shaping our lives, our stories, our moments. And as we ponder these mysteries, we are reminded that time is not just a force of the cosmos. It is a part of us. We carry it in our bodies, in our hearts, in our minds. Every heartbeat is a beat of the universe. Every thought is a moment passing through space-time. Every step we take, every word we speak is part of the great unfolding of existence. And though we may never fully understand time, we are part of it. We are woven into its fabric, a thread in the grand tapestry of the cosmos. So let us embrace time in all its beauty and mystery. Let us live in its folds, moving through it with wonder, with patience and with love. Let us listen to the song of the universe and know that we are both part of the music and the silence. We are both the rhythm and the pause, the past and the future, the beginning and the end. We are time itself, unfolding, bending, stretching in a dance as old as the stars. And as we close our eyes, let us rest in the knowledge that though time may stretch and bend and fold, it will never truly end. For as long as the universe exists, time will continue to flow, carrying us forward, carrying us onward, into the unknown, into the mysteries yet to be uncovered. And in that journey, we will find not only the universe, but ourselves. For time is not something that happens to us. It is something that we live within, something that shapes us and in turn is shaped by us. We are not separate from time, we are part of it, and in that understanding we find our place in the endless story of the universe, a story that will continue to unfold long after we are gone. Time, like the stars, will keep shining, will keep flowing, will keep bending in a dance that will never end. And in the quiet of the cosmos, where the folds of time stretch out before us, we are at peace. For we know now that time is not a burden to bear, but a song to sing. And in the song we are all one. We are the past, the present, and the future woven together in the endless, graceful dance of existence. There is a silence between the stars, a vast, infinite quiet that hums beneath the brilliance of galaxies and the fire of distant suns. It is a silence so deep, so profound that it seems to wrap around us like a blanket, holding the entire universe in stillness. It is the silence of space itself, the emptiness between the points of light we call stars, the space that holds them in their dance, the dark between the visible that is neither dark nor empty. It is a space we know so little about, yet it is everywhere. When we look up at the night sky, we see stars burning with ancient light, their warmth having travelled across unimaginable distances to reach us. And between those stars, there is nothing, or so it seems. But if we listen closely, we might hear a faint whisper in the quiet. It is the sound of the universe itself, a quiet hum beneath the cosmic veil. It is the sound of space, or perhaps this is the absence of sound, the subtle feeling that something is there, even when we cannot see it. For space is not empty. Even in its silence, it is full of mystery, full of questions, full of the invisible forces that shape the cosmos. This silence is what scientists have come to call the cosmic void. Vast regions of space where galaxies and stars are far fewer, where the stars seem to be scattered like distant sparks in a deep, dark ocean. These voids are not empty in the way we imagine a void might be. They are not hollow, but full of something we cannot see. The voids themselves are not voids at all, but stretches of space between the living, glowing clusters of stars. And within them there is a quietness, a stillness that seems to echo across the ages. These spaces are so large, so wide, that it is hard for us to even imagine their scale. Some of these voids are hundreds of millions of light years across. They are like silent seas in the vastness of the universe, holding within them the secrets of cosmic expansion, the mysteries of dark matter, and the stories of distant worlds. In the deep silence of these voids, there are no stars to mark the passage of time, no planets to create their own rhythm. And yet, time moves forward in the stillness. It moves like the waves of the ocean, slowly but steadily, brushing against the edges of the void. Even in the empty spaces, galaxies are still drifting, slowly pulling away from each other as the universe expands. The very fabric of space is stretching, creating more of this quiet space between the stars. And this expansion is not a small thing. It is the very reason the universe feels so vast, so infinite. Every moment, every breath of the cosmos brings more space into existence, more silence, more room for the stars to shine their ancient light across the endless dark. But this silence is not as it seems. Though it feels empty, though it feels still, it is not the absence of activity, far from it. The space between the stars is full of forces that are invisible, but no less powerful. In the emptiness, there is the presence of dark matter, an unseen substance that does not shine, or reflect light, but exerts a gravitational pull on the galaxies around it. It is the skeleton of the universe, the scaffolding that holds galaxies together, even though we cannot see it. Dark matter is everywhere, though we cannot touch it or directly observe it. It is the force that keeps the universe together, even in the most empty places. And beyond dark matter, there is something even more mysterious: dark energy. This is the force that is causing the universe to expand faster and faster, pushing the galaxies farther apart with every passing moment. It is a force that we cannot yet fully understand, but we know it is there, silently shaping the future of the universe. Dark energy is the quiet force that guides the cosmos, the invisible hand that pushes it outward, stretching it thinner and thinner, like a blanket being pulled across a bed. And just as dark matter holds galaxies together, dark energy pushes them apart. These two forces, unseen, silent, shape the vast emptiness between the stars, driving the dance of the universe forward, even as it seems to stand still. But there is something else in this cosmic silence that is perhaps even more profound: the very nature of emptiness itself. The emptiness between the stars is not just a space devoid of light or matter. It is the canvas upon which the entire universe is painted. It is the background against which the stars shine. Without this emptiness, the stars could not be. Without the space between, the universe could not expand. And in that sense, the void is not something to be feared. It is not something that stands in opposition to existence. It is the very thing that allows existence to be. It is the space where light can travel, where planets can form, where stars can burn, and where galaxies can dance. In a way, the silence of space is the most profound sound of all. It is the sound of everything we know, everything we dream, existing in the quiet. The stars that shine are born from it. The galaxies that spin are shaped by it. Even the planets, swirling in their orbits, are held in place by the gravity of invisible forces that act upon them from the vast expanse. This silence is not the absence of life. It is the presence of everything that sustains life. And though it may seem far from us, though it may seem like something distant, something unreachable, we are not separate from this silence. We are made of it. The atoms in our bodies were once forged in the hearts of stars. The elements in our blood, the oxygen in our lungs, the calcium in our bones, all of these came from the very same space we now look out at. We are stardust, formed from the same material that fills the vast silent spaces between the stars. The silence of the cosmos is our silence too. We breathe it in, and it breathes life into us. We walk through it, and it carries us forward, moment by moment, as we journey through the great expanse. So as we look up at the stars tonight, let us remember the silence that holds them and holds us. Let us remember that in the space between the stars there is not emptiness, but the quiet presence of everything. The galaxies, the dark matter, the dark energy, the light that travels across time and space. All of these things exist in the vast silence. And though we may never fully understand it, we are part of it. We are woven into it, our lives unfolding within the great silent dance of the universe. And in that silence there is peace, there is comfort, there is understanding. The stars are burning brightly, their light reaching us from far, far away. And in the space between them, we are not alone. We are held in the quiet embrace of the cosmos, and we are part of its story, a story written in the silence between the stars. Let us linger for a moment in the vastness, in the silence that surrounds us, and listen for what is hidden there. Beneath the quiet hum of the cosmos, there are secrets waiting, secrets that speak not in words, but in the movement of light, the dance of dust, and the slow churn of galaxies. These are the whispers of space, not empty, not silent, but full of the echoes of all that has been and all that will be. Imagine for a moment that you are travelling through the silence of space, drifting between stars, far from the warmth of our sun, far from the hum of the earth beneath your feet. As you move, you pass by galaxies that have spun for billions of years, their arms winding like threads of silver light. You see the light from stars that have long since burned out, their light reaching you across the vast expanse, a message from the past. And yet, even as you see these distant stars, they are not truly there, not in the way we think of presence. The light you see has travelled for millions of years, bending through space, stretching across the emptiness, until it finally reaches your eyes. The stars you see now no longer exist in the same way. The light is ancient, a whisper from the far forgotten corners of the universe. But this is not the only kind of silence between the stars. There are those parts of space where no light has ever reached, where no stars have ever formed, where galaxies remain faint whispers in the dark. These are the great cosmic voids. Vast expanses of space where matter is sparse, where stars are few, and where galaxies are distant islands, floating apart from one another like stars in a quiet sea. And yet, even in these voids there is life, or at least there is the possibility of life. For within the darkness there are forces at work that are shaping the future of the universe, though we cannot yet see them. Dark matter, an invisible substance that makes up most of the mass in the universe, flows through these empty spaces, unseen, unfelt, but crucial to the structure of everything. These voids are not truly empty, just as the space between the stars is never truly empty. The silence between them is filled with the pull of gravity, the influence of dark matter, and the stretching of space itself. And as space expands, these voids grow larger, carrying the galaxies further apart, stretching the fabric of space-time in ways we cannot fully comprehend. The silence grows, and with it, the universe itself grows older, quieter, more distant. And yet there is something beautiful in this. The fact that even in the quietest corners of the universe there is movement, there is change, there is evolution. We are taught that space is vast, and it is. We are taught that the universe is mostly empty, and in many ways this is true. But we must also learn to see the fullness within that emptiness. We must learn to hear the quiet hum of the cosmos, the faint stirrings of dark matter and dark energy, the slow unfolding of galaxies and stars, the quiet stretching of space-time itself. These forces, invisible yet powerful, shape the universe in ways we cannot yet fully understand, but they are there, moving, guiding, whispering through the silence between the stars. And in that silence there is beauty. Not the beauty of noise and brightness, not the beauty of fire and colour, but the quiet beauty of distance, of space, of time, unfolding in its own rhythm. The silence of space is not a void, but a space full of potential, full of possibilities. It is the quiet before the storm, the space between the notes in a song, the pause before the next breath. It is the silence that allows the stars to shine, the galaxies to spin, and the universe to stretch outward forever and ever. But this silence is not just passive. It is not just a void waiting to be filled. It is a force in its own right. The expansion of the universe itself is a silent process, stretching space apart, pushing galaxies away from each other, like a balloon slowly inflating. This expansion is driven by a mysterious force called dark energy. Dark energy is the quiet, unseen force that is accelerating the expansion of the universe, causing galaxies to drift apart faster and faster as time goes on. It is a force we cannot see, but we know it is there, pushing the universe outward, driving it into an ever-expanding future. And then there is dark matter, the invisible scaffolding of the universe. It does not emit light, nor does it interact with matter in the same way that ordinary matter does, but it exerts gravity, and that gravity holds galaxies together, keeps the stars in their orbits, and forms the very structure of the universe. Dark matter is everywhere. like a hidden thread that weaves through the cosmos, holding everything together in a way we cannot see but can only feel through its influence. It is the quiet presence that makes the universe what it is, invisible yet crucial to its function, shaping the galaxies, the stars, the planets, the very fabric of space itself. The quiet of space is the quiet of a garden growing, the quiet of a river flowing, the quiet of the seasons changing. It is not a silence born of nothingness, but a silence filled with unseen forces, with the pull of gravity, the stretch of space-time, the dance of dark matter and dark energy. This silence is not empty. It is full of life, full of movement, full of the invisible threads that hold the universe together. And we, as small as we are in the vastness of it all, are part of this great cosmic dance. The silence between the stars is our silence too. We are made of the same stardust, shaped by the same forces that govern the stars and galaxies. We breathe the same air that has been touched by the light of distant suns. We walk the same earth that spins within the same galaxy, that spins within the same universe that stretches, silent and endless, before us. The silence of space is not separate from us. It is part of us. It is the space in which we exist, the canvas on which we paint our lives. And so, as we look up at the stars, as we contemplate the silence that stretches between them, let us remember that we are not distant from it, but connected to it. The silence is not an absence, it is a presence. It is the space where everything is made, where everything is held, where everything exists. It is the silence in which the stars are born and die, the silence in which galaxies spin, the silence in which the universe grows ever larger, ever quieter, ever more mysterious. The silence between the stars is not a void. It is the most profound presence of all. It is the space where everything happens, where everything begins, where everything ends. It is the silence in which we live, the silence that carries us forward, the silence that whispers the secrets of the cosmos. And in that silence there is peace, there is wonder, there is beauty. As we near the end of our journey, let us rest for a moment in the silence and reflect on what we've seen, what we've felt. The stars burn brightly above us, their light reaching across vast stretches of space, carrying stories from the past. The galaxies spin, quietly turning in the emptiness, their dance graceful and slow. And between them there is the silence, deep, vast, infinite. But now, we see it differently, don't we? We no longer see it as a void, but as a space full of unseen forces, full of mystery, full of life. The silence between the stars is not the absence of sound, but the space in which everything is born. It is the canvas on which the universe is painted, the emptiness that allows the stars to shine, the galaxies to spin, the planets to form. And just as we now see the stars and galaxies not as isolated points in space, but as interconnected threads in the vast tapestry of the cosmos, we begin to understand that we too are part of this grand design. We are stardust. We are born from the same materials that form the stars, the same atoms that make up the light, the same elements that swirl through the galaxies. We are not separate from the universe. We are a part of it. And in that knowledge there is comfort. For in the silence we find our place. We are not lost in the void. We are held within it, just as the stars are held, just as the galaxies are held. We are connected to the cosmos in ways we can only begin to understand. As we reflect on the vastness of the universe, we may feel small. We may feel like fleeting shadows in the light of the stars. But there is a quiet strength in this. For in the silence there is no rush, no urgency. Time moves, but it moves gently. It does not demand, it does not push, it simply is. The universe, vast as it is, unfolds at its own pace in its own time, and in this unfolding we are part of the story. Our lives, though brief, are woven into the fabric of the cosmos. Every thought we have, every action we take ripples through the universe, touching the stars, the galaxies, the deep silence that surrounds us. And perhaps that is the greatest truth we can learn from the silence between the stars, that we are part of something far larger than ourselves. We are not alone in the vastness. We are part of a great unfolding, a dance of light and shadow, of matter and energy, of time and space. We are not just observers of the universe, we are participants. Our presence, our being, is a note in the great symphony of the cosmos, a sound that echoes through the silence, a vibration that travels across the stars. But there is something else in this quiet, a soft truth that hums beneath the surface. The silence, though it seems endless, is not permanent. Just as the stars burn brightly for a time, so too do they fade. Just as the galaxies spin, they too will one day come to rest. The universe itself, though it stretches out in all directions, will not last forever. It will continue to expand, yes, but it will also grow colder, more distant, the stars will burn out, the galaxies will drift apart, and eventually even the last light will fade. This is the inevitable end, the quiet conclusion to the great story of the cosmos. But even in this final silence there is peace. There is beauty in the idea that the universe, once so full of light and movement, will one day rest. There is grace in the knowledge that even the stars, in their brief but brilliant lives, have played their part in the grand design. And as the universe fades, it will leave behind something precious, the memory of everything that was, the light that once shone, the galaxies that once spun, the stars that once burned. All of it carried in the quiet, carried in the silence. And we too will fade one day. But just as we are part of the cosmos now, so we will be part of it when we are gone. Our atoms, the same atoms that form the stars, will return to the earth, to the sky, to the stars themselves. We are, in the end, not separate from the universe, but an integral part of it. We are part of the light, part of the dark, part of the silence. We are woven into the fabric of existence, and though we may fade from this world, we will never truly disappear. The silence between the stars is not an end. It is simply another chapter in the never-ending story of the universe. A story that has no true beginning and no true end. A story that stretches beyond time, beyond space, beyond the stars themselves. It is a story that will continue long after we are gone, long after the last light has faded, long after the stars have burned out. And in that silence there is comfort, there is peace, there is understanding. As we gaze up at the stars, we are not just looking at distant points of light, we are looking at the past, at the present, at the future. We are looking at the very essence of existence. And in that moment, in the quiet of the cosmos, we are connected to everything. We are part of the stars, part of the galaxies, part of the silence. And though we may never fully understand the vastness of it all, we can find peace in knowing that we are part of it. Part of the great silent dance that is the universe. And as we stand beneath the stars, we are reminded that in the silence between them, we are never truly alone. Imagine for a moment that you are standing in the middle of a quiet field at night, gazing up at the sky. Above you, the stars are scattered like diamonds on black velvet, their light reaching out across the vast stretch of space. Some of these stars are so distant, their light has taken thousands, even millions of years to reach your eyes. And though they shine brightly now, that light is ancient. It left those stars long ago, in a time when the universe was very different, when the stars themselves were younger, burning brighter, casting their light into the universe for the first time. But the light you see tonight is not the light of those stars as they are now. No, the light you see is the light that left long ago, travelling through the vast emptiness of space, moving at a speed so fast it can cross distances that are almost beyond comprehension. And as that light travels, it carries with it not just the glow of the stars, but the memory of those stars. A memory that stretches across time itself. A memory that brings the past into the present with every passing moment. This is the strange beauty of starlight. It is not just the light we see with our eyes. It is the story of the star, written in the language of photons, etched into the fabric of space and time. The light we see is the light that left the star when it was young, when it was burning with the intensity of its youth. And though that star may have long since burned out, its light continues to travel, crossing the cosmos, bringing a bit of the past with it, and revealing a glimpse of the universe as it once was. But this light is not just ancient, it is also a bridge between us and the distant past. When we look at the stars, we are not just looking at points of light in the sky, we are looking at windows into time itself. Each star we see is a messenger from the past, carrying stories from a time when the universe was very different. Some of the stars we see tonight may no longer exist. They may have exploded as supernovae, their light now a fading echo of their former glory. Others may have collapsed into black holes, their light swallowed by the vast emptiness, leaving only a memory behind. And yet, even though their light is ancient, it is still with us. It still travels across the universe, crossing the immense distances between stars and galaxies, bringing us a story from the past. The light that we see tonight is not the light of the stars as they are now, but the light of what they once were, and in that light, we see a reflection of our own journey. For just as the stars shine with the light of their past, so too do we carry within us the light of our own history, our own journey through time. Every moment we live is a moment that will soon become part of the past, just like the light from the stars. Every thought, every action, every word we speak is a part of the story we are creating, a story that will stretch through time, carried forward by the light of our own existence. And just as the stars burn with the memory of their past, so too will we leave behind our own light, our own echoes, for future generations to see, to feel, to understand. The stars are not just points of light in the sky. They are the keepers of time, the guardians of history. They are the markers of a journey that began long before we were born and will continue long after we are gone. Each star is a story that stretches across eons, carrying the memory of a time long past. A time we will never see, but a time that is still with us, shining in the light we see tonight. And yet there is something even more wondrous about the light of the stars. As it travels across space, it does not just carry the memory of the stars themselves, it also carries the memory of the universe, the memory of the beginning. The light we see from distant stars is not just a glimpse into their past, it is a glimpse into the past of the entire cosmos. It is the light that was born in the fire of creation itself, the light that first emerged from the Big Bang, the first burst of energy that began the unfolding of the universe. This is the light we are seeing when we look at the stars. It is not just the light of individual stars, but the light of the universe itself, the light that has travelled across billions of years to reach us. It is the light that tells the story of everything, from the birth of the stars to the formation of galaxies, to the creation of life itself. It is the light that connects us to everything, from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy. It is the light that carries the memory of the universe, a memory that stretches across time and space, connecting the past to the present, the distant to the near. As we stand in the quiet of the night, looking up at the stars, we are not just seeing the light of distant suns, we are seeing the light of the universe itself, a light that has travelled across eons, across vast stretches of space and time to reach us here and now, and in that light, we are connected to the stars, to the galaxies, to the entire cosmos. The light that left the stars long ago is still with us, still carrying its message, still telling its story. And in that story we find ourselves, part of the same journey, part of the same universe, stretching across time and space, from the very beginning to the farthest reaches of the future. This light that has travelled so far, so long, carries with it not just the memory of the stars, but the memory of all that has come before. It is a reminder that we too are part of this great journey. We are part of the story that stretches across the universe, a story that is written not just in the stars, but in the very fabric of time itself. And as we look up at the night sky, we are reminded that the light we see is not just the light of the stars, but the light of the universe, a light that has travelled across time and space to find us, and in that light, we find not only the stars, but ourselves. Now, let's drift deeper into the journey of light, that ancient traveller, and explore how it carries with it the echoes of time itself. For in every beam of starlight there is more than just brightness. There is memory, there is history. As that light leaves the surface of a star and embarks on its long journey across the cosmic sea, it collects the stories of the space it crosses. Each photon, each particle of light, is touched by the forces of the universe, shaped by the gravity of stars, the pull of galaxies, the stretching of space-time. And as it travels, it whispers these stories to us, stories that speak of the birth of stars, the death of worlds, the expansion of the universe itself. Imagine for a moment the light that has been travelling since the very beginning of the universe. After the Big Bang, the universe was filled with a brilliant glow, an incandescent fog of energy. This light, in the form of the cosmic microwave background, still travels through space today, though it is no longer the bright burst it once was. Now it is faint, stretched thin by the expanding universe, a ghostly echo of the fiery birth of everything. But it is still there, still travelling, still carrying the memory of the universe's first moments. And as it reaches us, it tells the story of the cosmos's birth, the fire from which everything emerged, the slow cooling of the universe, the formation of the first atoms, the first stars. This light, though ancient, is not static. It continues to evolve, to stretch and bend as it travels. The universe is expanding, stretching outwards, and with it the light. As light moves through space and it becomes stretched as well, the phenomenon known as redshift. The farther light travels, the more its wavelength is stretched, shifting it from the blue end of the spectrum to the red. And so, as we look at the distant stars, we see not just their light, but the imprint of their journey. We see the evidence of the universe's expansion, the stretching of time itself. The light we see from the farthest galaxies is not just a glimpse into their past, but a record of how far they have travelled. A story of the space between us, stretching and bending as the universe grows older. But it is not just the distant galaxies that tell stories. Every star, every burst of light carries with it the imprint of its own journey. When we look at the stars, we are not just looking at points of light, we are looking at the life stories of those stars. Some stars are young, their light sharp and bright, burning with the intensity of their youth. These stars are the newborns of the universe, shining with the energy of their creation. Others are old, their light softer, more distant, a dim reflection of their former brilliance. These stars are dying, having lived their lives, and now their light travels as a whisper of what they once were. And then there are the stars that have already died. Their light continues to travel through space long after they have gone. These are the stars whose explosions, their supernovae, sent their light and energy outward, scattering the elements that form the very building blocks of new stars, new planets, and even new life. The light from these stars is not just the light of the star itself, but the light of a transformation, a moment of cosmic rebirth. When we look at the remnants of a supernova, we are not just seeing a death, we are seeing the beginning of something new. The star may have burned out, but its light continues to illuminate the dark, bringing forth the next generation of stars, the next wave of creation. But there is another kind of light, a light that reaches us not from stars or galaxies, but from the very core fabric of space itself. This light, known as cosmic radiation, is the faint glow of the universe, the light that permeates all of space. It is the echo of the Big Bang, a quiet, invisible light that flows through everything. This radiation is not something we can see, but it is there, a background hum in the universe, filling the emptiness between the stars. It is the light of everything, a light that is present in every corner of the cosmos, connecting all things, a reminder that the universe, in its quietest moments, is never truly dark. As we contemplate this light, we begin to realize that the universe is not just a place filled with stars, planets, and galaxies. It is a place of connection, a place where every particle, every photon, every bit of energy is tied together. The light from a distant star is not separate from the light we see here on Earth. It is all part of the same flow, the same cosmic river. The light that shines in the sky is the same light that flows through the atoms in our bodies. We are not separate from the stars. We are made of the same light, the same energy, the same stuff. This realization can be both humbling and awe-inspiring. For in this light, we see not just the universe as it is, but the universe as it was, and the universe as it will be. The light we see tonight is not just the light of the stars, but the light of creation, of birth, of death, and of rebirth. It is the light that has travelled across time and space, carrying the stories of everything that has ever existed, and everything that will ever be. It is the light that ties us to the cosmos, that reminds us that we are not alone in the vast, silent universe. And as we stand beneath the stars, as we watch the light of distant suns reach us across the dark, we are reminded that the light we see is not just the light of the stars, but the light of the universe itself. It is the light of everything shining through the vastness, reaching us across time, connecting us to the past, to the future, to all that is. It is a light that has travelled across the eons, carrying with it the stories of everything that has ever been and everything that will ever be. In that light we find our place. We find our connection to the cosmos. We find the past, the present, and the future, all shining together in the quiet glow of the stars. And as we look up at the night sky, we see not just the stars, but the entire journey of light, the light that left long ago, the light that connects us all, the light that carries the stories of the universe, and the light that will one day return to the dark. And now, as we draw our journey to a close, let us pause and reflect on the light that has carried us through space and time. This light, both ancient and ever-present, is the thread that ties the universe together. It connects the stars to us, the past to the present, the distant to the near. It is the language of the cosmos, a language written not in words but in waves of energy, flowing through the very fabric of space. Each ray, each beam, tells a story, a memory, a glimpse into the heart of the universe itself. This journey of light, stretching across time and space, is a quiet one. It does not demand our attention, nor does it announce its arrival. It simply is. It moves through the cosmos, carrying with it the stories of stars, galaxies, and worlds long gone. And yet, even as it moves forward, it never truly leaves the past behind. The light we see today is the light that left stars millions, even billions, of years ago. It is the light that has travelled through the dark stretches of space, bending and stretching with the universe itself until it finally reaches our eyes, bringing with it the whispers of a time long past. And just as the light from distant stars carries the memories of those stars, so too does it carry the memory of the universe itself. For the light we see is not just a glimpse of the stars as they are, but a glimpse of the universe as it was. It is the light of creation, the light that first emerged from the Big Bang, the first burst of energy that set the cosmos in motion. That light, once a brilliant fiery glow, now reaches us as a soft cosmic hum, stretching across the universe, carrying the memory of the birth of everything. This light is the legacy of the universe. It is the record of every moment of creation, every explosion of a star, every birth and death of galaxies. It is a record written not in words, but in light itself. And though we may never fully understand the stories that each photon carries, we can still feel the presence of that light, the quiet, constant presence that reminds us that we are not separate from the stars. We are part of them. We are made of the same light, the same energy, the same elements that formed the very first stars. In a way, the light we see tonight is a bridge between the past and the present, between us and the cosmos. It is a reminder that the universe is not something that exists outside of us, but something that is woven into us. We are made of the same materials, shaped by the same forces, and connected by the same threads of light that stretch across the universe. We are, in a sense, made of the stars. Their light flows through us, and we flow through it, part of the same eternal dance, part of the same unfolding story. As we look up at the night sky, we are looking at the past. We are looking at the light that left those stars long ago, carrying with it the memories of their lives, their deaths, their transformations. And in that light, we see not just the stars, but ourselves. We see our own journey through time, our own place in the cosmos. We see how we too are part of the great unfolding story of the universe, how our lives, brief as they may seem, are woven into the fabric of existence. We are not separate from the stars, we are not separate from the universe, we are part of it. We are part of the light. This light, the light that left the stars long ago, is not just a reminder of the past, it is a reminder of the future. For as the stars burn, so too do they fade. Their light, though ancient, is not eternal. It will one day stop, just as the stars themselves will one day burn out, collapsing into nothingness, leaving behind only the memory of their light. But even in that quiet, in that final silence, the light will live on. For the energy that once burned in the stars will not vanish, it will be recycled, transformed into new forms, new stars, new galaxies. The light will continue stretching forward, carrying the memory of everything that has ever been, everything that will ever be. In this way, the light that left long ago is both an ending and a beginning. It is the memory of all that has come before, and the promise of all that is yet to come. The stars may burn out, their light may fade, but the energy that once shone so brightly will never truly be lost. It will be carried forward, flowing through the universe, shaping the future, just as it has shaped the past. And so we come full circle, back to where we began. We are here, in this moment, surrounded by the light of the stars, by the light of the universe itself. This light, though ancient, is still with us, still travelling, still carrying its stories, still connecting us to the cosmos. And in that light we find not just the stars, but ourselves. We find our place in the great dance of existence, our story woven into the fabric of time and space, our lives illuminated by the same light that once shone at the dawn of the universe. In the end, the light that left long ago is not just a reminder of the stars, it is a reminder of us, of our journey through time, of our place in the universe, of our connection to the cosmos. It is the light that connects us to the past, to the future, to the stars, to the galaxies, to everything that is, was, and ever will be. And as we stand here, beneath the vast expanse of the night sky, we are reminded that we are part of this light, part of this universe, part of this eternal unfolding story. The light that left long ago is still with us, and in that light, we are home.